Hello crafty beaders! Today's tutorial is about this sweet, sparkly, elegant bracelet I showed you just now. If you want to know how to make one for yourself, and I can see in your eyes you do, just keep watching. Nice, huh? So for this bracelet that is doubled, made with two colors of bicones, we need the following materials. We need some bicones, 4mm ones in two colors. In this case we have red and black. Then we need some 11/0s. We are going to use this clasp, a magnetic one, for this project. We need the Nymo thread, 2 needles, and we also need 2 split rings and 2 jump rings. Also have another tutorial with simple basic technique of right angle weave with 2 needles, and if you want to check that out you can find the link in the description below or in the card above. Now let's start with having needle on both ends of a length of thread, and now we build up our right angle weave unit. So we have the right side, the left side. On the right we have 2 bicones, on the left as well 2 bicones. We connect the bicones with 1 seed bead. We close and start with 1 seed bead. This is the normal setup, but we want to make a 2-color bracelet, so we replace the last 2 bicones from this unit with the other color. After we thread this sequence, we continue with the second unit of the sequence, which is mirroring this. So we have black bicones first, the connectors, the red ones, and then the bead where the threads cross. So let's start with this one. We pick up the first seed bead and move it at the center of the thread, and now with the right needle we pick up the beads on the right and drop them. With the left, the beads for the left and drop them. And now we close the unit by picking up the last seed bead and crossing the threads. This is the first unit of the section, and then we continue with the next unit where we pick up the beads for the right, the beads for the left, we drop the beads, pick up the last seed bead and cross the threads. To continue, we always mirror the last section when we prepare our next unit. So in the last unit we had the red bicones at the top. In the next one they will be at the bottom. And now we load the right needle, the left needle, pick up the one where the threads cross, and we cross the threads. And this is how you continue. So again, mirror up the last unit, the connector seed beads and the one where they cross. Load on the right, load on the left and cross the threads. You continue like this until you get the length you need, which usually is the measurement of the wrist minus 1 inch, which goes to be covered by the clasp. Here I have made the required length of the camera, and now we are working the last unit together. So which is not different from what we've done so far. And now the left. Needle, and we cross the threads. And here we have our first strip finished. My advice is that once you are here, to reinforce, so to go back a few units, 1 or 2, with both threads to make sure that this length and this shape stays as it is. Of course, you can stop here and just have a very beautiful tennis bracelet. But our pattern is about adding the second one. So we prepare a new thread with a new length. And to get this pattern, obviously we have to alternate the colors. So let's prepare our unit just to do this. So if here we started with red, now we start with black to create our unit. Here we have the connector on the right. On the left, the connector will be the same seed bead, the common seed bead from the other strip, and then we cross the threads through the top. Then when we create the next unit, we just mirror this unit, and again connector on the right, the top seed bead where we cross, and here the connector will be the common seed bead from here. So now let's load the needle, and of course here we have to start with 1 seed bead, sorry for that. So that seed bead, we pick it up and we move it at the middle of the thread. We load the beads from the right and we drop them. The beads from the left, the first bicone, then the bicone from the strip, and the red bicone, and we drop the beads. And here is how it looks. And now we cross the threads through the seed bead. It will be always easier for you if you work this type of projects actually on the board. Do not hold it in your hand. Now we load the right needle, drop the beads. For the left, we pick up the bicone, we go through the next seed bead from the strip, the bicone from our unit, and cross the threads. And here you can see already that we have the alternate colors. And now we just continue building up the units in the same way. So we mirror the bottom, the next for the top part of the unit, the connector, the bead for the crossing threads, and the connector between the bicones on the left come from the strip. Let's do one more section together, and this goes down, bicone. Now we borrow this and the red. Okay, and now we are ready to cross the threads. And here we are. And we continue like this until we finish, we match the length of the first strip. Here I have just finished my to double my length of the bracelet, and we are at the last unit. And oh boy, this is very fiddly. I actually recommend you to make this pattern only on your board, on your beading board. Don't try to hold them, you will just get frustrated. And now we create our last unit here on the right, now on the left, The threads have tangled. Okay. And now we need to cross through the last seed bead. And here we have it finished. Now we need to reinforce around the first or maybe even the second unit with both threads to make sure that the bracelet keeps the shape. Again, use your board to make sure you can actually place some tension in the thread while you do this, and hold the opposite thread. And pull gently to get all the bicones nicely together. Here we can start making some knots, and we make these knots against the thread. Don't rub your thread against the edge of the bicones. After we have reinforced our last units, we come out with the thread through one of the bottom or the top seed beads, with the thread pointing towards the other. And then we pick up some seed beads and we check how many we need to close the gap, to cover the gap between those two. In this case I need 4. We pick up one of our split rings or closed rings and go through the next bottom seed bead, and we reinforce by going through the work. And here to bring back the thread, we can make a knot and reinforce in the same time. And then you just weave in the thread in the work. Okay. And cut the thread. So here we have one side ready. For the other side of the clasp, we repeat the same thing. We make sure that the thread comes out from one of the seed beads pointing towards the other. We pick up a number of seed beads that we think it will close the gap. Let's try with 4. And it looks like, yeah, it's good. We pick up also the split ring and we reinforce by going around. We can also make a knot and change the direction of the thread. And when we are happy, we just weave the thread in. And cut the thread. And here we have our bracelet ready for the magnetic clasp. Bring in your jewelry pliers and pick up one of the jump rings and now it's open. Connect it to the bracelet and one end of our magnetic clasp. And then again, jump ring, open, bracelet and magnetic clasp. And here we have our beautiful sparkly bracelet with the magnetic clasp, which is very easy to attach. Here we have our magnetic clasp. And as you know, a magnetic clasp of this type, you do not pull it, you just slide it. So you slide, you hold one half and push the other to open it. And this way you preserve both the clasp and the bracelet. Based on the same technique, I have some new ideas for you. A bracelet with bicones in 2 colors and the flowers positioned in the middle. And here I have a bracelet with 3 colors for the bicones in a gorgeous flower pattern. The tutorials will be part of our June newsletter for the Beader's Tribe project. If you want to join the project, please sign up at the link in the description. In this way, you have access to exclusive, free and private tutorials hosted here on YouTube. You can find a list, a playlist of bracelets, so don't forget to check it out. Bye bye!